Welcome to Trivial Debates.
Welcome to Trivial Pursuits. I am your host. Hold on one second. What? Trivial Debates? No. Trivial Pursuits. That's what I pay you for.
He's taking your move, Chris.
Oh, boy.
They went with LeVar Burton. No, I don't blame them either, but
I think they went with Blossom.
All right. I gotta go. I'm in the middle of something. Welcome to Trivial Debates. I am your host, Davan Skelhorn. I'm super stoked and happy to be here. We have three contestants on the show tonight. We have Chris Seymour.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah, I like how you did that, like Kermit the Frog.
All strong contenders here tonight. We also have my cousin, your cousin, everybody's cousin, Dave Mader.
It's me.
Cousin of the show, creator of the show.
All those things.
Yep.
Is he producing the show too?
I'm producing. I'm multitasking.
Oh,
God.
wow. Also our producer tonight. We also have Adam Woodward.
Hey guys, looking forward to today.
Long-time champion.
Never battled Dave.
Oh.
No, yeah, I haven't competed in some time. And the last time I did compete, it was more of a tag team affair. That was when I was teamed up with Jeff.
Oh,
so
that was a long time ago.
This has been a while since I've been a contestant. So, Davin,
fun.
when I hosted and you competed, I gave you one round, and I'm expecting the same.
There's going to be no revenge hosting here.
No revenge hosting? Okay.
No.
Gavin, when I hosted, I let you actually win, so I expect the same.
Well, quid pro quo, I guess, eh?
Yeah. I never sent you the intro notes, did I?
No. What's an intro note?
Well, how this show works, I'll just take over for a moment. There's 6 rounds, including a speed round, including movies, TV, sports. So each round there's a question posed by the host, and each of us will give our submission. It doesn't mean that it's truly the best. It's just what is the best answer today of what's been sort of posed, and then Davin, as the host and judge, will hand out points to one of us. And after the 6 initial rounds, only 2 of us will move on to that speed round, which will be the same 6 categories but just much faster. And only one of us will be standing at the end. Sorry, Davin, that's my bad. I should have sent you the intro notes.
No worries.
Michael Chan is here to cheer for you, Adam. He's saying you're going to win. Go, Adam, go.
Oh, I love it. I have a fan.
Dave is not in his Trek uniform, therefore he's weakened and cannot compete.
Zero compensation.
Going to be part of the union for that, Davin.
Yeah. All right. Let's get going here.
Let's get going. All right. Where's my ding, ding, ding?
Okay. First up, we have our movie category. Oh, ding, ding. Yeah. Definitely need that. Okay. What? That's totally not it. So let's go with the one I prepared.
Oh, did I fix this?
What is the best
Our movie category for today has nothing to do with Christmas. It is
Hold on. That's my bad again. Oh my god.
What is the best movie monologue of all time? Not at Christmas time, of all time.
I'm gonna lick my wounds here.
It could be a Christmas movie.
Look, he's multitasking.
I'm multitasking
away with a bit here.
Okay. Well, who's up first? Chris?
It was hot in here. Yes, Chris is up first.
Okay. Chris.
What is the best movie monologue of all time?
Well, you know what? We're all Kevin Smith fans here. So I went with Kevin Smith's monologue in Chasing Amy. It's a monologue in the fact that it's about a 3-minute long speech that Kevin Smith's character Silent Bob does to Holden while sitting in a diner. The whole speech is about it's about Kevin telling about his ex, how he asked her about his past boyfriends, and he regrets it after because he finds out that she was in a menage a trois, and he starts calling her a slut. He's telling this story, and he regrets it after. He feels that he shouldn't have called her a slut. He regrets it. He admits that he was afraid. He was feeling insecure, that he wasn't good enough. And he's explaining this. He's just basically explaining his girl troubles to Holden because Holden's going through a very similar situation. And at the end, he kind of says, you know what? He spent the rest of his days chasing Amy. And he really regrets it. And you know what? It's the best monologue, not because of its content. It's the best monologue because is that it?
No, finish your sentence. I want to hear the end of that sentence.
It's the best monologue because it's Kevin Smith's third film, and up to this point, we hadn't really heard him speak more than 2 words, and it just really surprised the audience, and it surprised the fans that he really spoke that much.
Cool. I had to let that finish, but good point. All right, next up, Dave Mader, producer.
This is why I typically don't produce and compete. But here I go. Okay, it's been a minute. Here, while I give myself a minute.
You can have a minute 10.
You know what? I will answer your question, Davan, because
what is the best movie monologue of all time?
Yeah, I'll answer the question.
I'll answer the question. You want the truth, Davan? You can't handle the truth. We live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's going to do it? You, Chris Seymour? I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You know, I'm talking about A Few Good Men. I'm talking about Colonel Nathan Jessup as played by Jack Nicholson in the 1992 film A Few Good Men, where he's going back and forth in this cross-examination with Tom Cruise playing the part of Lieutenant Caffey, the defense lawyer for 2 people accused of murder in a code red scene. And it's really I think it's really as poignant today as it is back then. It is a timeless speech, and I am out of time. I can't handle this. Okay.
Yeah, right. Fair enough. Adam, what's the best movie monologue of all time?
I took from one of my favorite pictures of all time, Blade Runner, and the 42 words that Rutger Hauer ended up with at the end of the movie. I have seen things you wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shores of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tower Gate. All those moments will be lost like tears in the rain. And it became the tears in the rain quote from movie history. It's poetic. It really shows here. You know, I love the android, the replicant debate over the years, and are they human? Do they have souls? And this at the end of that movie, after he had just been beating up Decker, who was played by Harrison Ford, and was about to kill him, and he saved him in the last moment and came up with this soliloquy here that really does show a lamenting, because I think that he became aware and very much proved that they were replicants, and then humans are wrong to target them and judge them and end their lives at such an early time on. So I love it. It's haunting, and every time I see this movie I see something different as well. But this is the perfect ending.
Okay,
all right. Very different monologues, also very different approaches. Very interesting. So we have the surprise aspect coming from Chris there, and its unexpected nature of that monologue, whereas with Dave we have more it's the content and the acting of the monologue itself very much. And Adam, we have it's more the poetic nature of it and the expression of character, and I find those all very different approaches. Now you guys battle it out, right?
sure. Okay, like these are all good speeches in the movies. They're obviously well known and famous for various reasons. I think that between my two opponents, I tend to favor Chris's over Adam's just because I think I'm a bigger fan of Chasing Amy than I am a Blade Runner. And I didn't see that so much later in life. And I watched it and the whole scene with Rutger Hauer. I was like, is that it? I was like, it didn't. I don't know. Like a lot of people love it. It doesn't stick with me, but that's just my own bias. And then Chasing Amy, I think is a good one. But I don't think it's as iconic as You Can't Handle the Truth, son.
You know what? I don't think that this is about being an iconic monologue. The reason I chose Chasing Amy is because, we know Kevin Smith didn't start his podcast at this point. He didn't go on his college tours. He didn't start that until 2001 or 2002. Chasing Amy in 1997. Nobody expected that, and it may not be well known. It's well known among Kevin Smith fans, just the shock value of when he started speaking. It just I was shocked. I remember seeing that movie for the first time, and I was like, "Whoa, this guy can actually talk." And I didn't know. Kevin Smith is a great storyteller, and I didn't know until that movie. What a great storyteller he was. And after that, I started watching things like An Evening with Kevin Smith. I started listening to some of the podcasts and I think that monologue sprung me into doing those things. And Blade Runner, I've barely seen that movie. It's not memorable to me at all. I don't even remember that quote. Dave, Jack Nicholson, he's an actor. You expect him to do a great acting job and a great monologue every movie that he's in.
Well, this is his best, though.
Possibly.
You can't handle the truth.
Dave does have the sound clip advantage here.
I got to use what's in my arsenal, guys.
That's all right. You're producing at the same time. You need some sort of handicap to make up for it. Adam, you got to get in here.
Yeah, I can't disagree with the quality of either one of their choices. However, when you look at the impact and the influence that Blade Runner made in future, whether it be, it was funny because I even in my own mind, I never even thought about quoting any other movie other than a science fiction. And when we were talking about it a few weeks ago with Dave, I actually said, yeah, it's a science fiction movie. I had to go check. It wasn't, because I gave my answer so quickly. But the influence of this particular movie, and because the roles were played so well, and even into we're all fans of Star Trek and Picard, and you look even how that transfer of replicants or androids or whatever you want to call them into future pulp culture has become such a strong thing. But that line and the internal battle, are androids bigger than just a machine or a robot? And the answer was very clearly less. And yes, I was young when this movie came out, heck. But as I grew and listened to it and watched it more, I just find that ending fantastic. And when you listen to those words, you understand why.
I would say that in terms of what these three monologues all accomplish in their respective films, I think that mine does stand apart because mine has, for me, this is just my own subjective opinion, so much rewatchability because of what the character is saying in that monologue, what he's trying to get through to Tom Cruise's character about how, he's a soldier and he has to be tough on these guys because it has to save lives and he has all this responsibility. But at the same time, as you're listening to him, you're like, no, you're not really right about these things, and your righteousness is your undoing, and how he's able to get that character to launch, how Tom Cruise's character gets Jack Nicholson's character to launch into that speech, and then that's his undoing. That's how he gets him, right? Because he's like, monologue at me, motherfucker, and then he's, hey, gotcha.
You know what? People only remember You Can't Handle the Truth. They don't remember the rest of that monologue. They just remember that one line.
Well, that's like what he yells at, but then everything he says for the next 2 minutes is really strong, but it's so accurate to his character. It's so much like the whole room just stops and listens to him, right? It's not a monologue like your monologue is more like he's telling Ben Affleck's character, Holden McNeil, a story. He's like, listen, I had a girlfriend years ago and I lost her and it was sad, whatever. Okay, sure. But it's not the same as this movie monologue.
I told you, I don't think my monologue is about the content. It's about the surprising the audience.
Yeah, for me again, it comes back to what speaks to you as an individual, and where Jack Nicholson, no question, Dave delivers really well. I mean, the fact that just Kevin Smith spoke is seems to be your big reason, Chris. But the movie Blade Runner, around the whole movie is this 4 or 5 replicants trying to survive, and a police officer trying to kill them. That's the movie. And then a great battle at the end, great fight, and then you find out that he's forgiven him. He's come to realization he's going to die, and then it's just it comes into the whole point of where is life after death, and does all my memories, everything I've experienced, just go away like tears and rain? It's a great thought, and I think to myself, man, like it goes well beyond the movie, well beyond science fiction, well beyond the android story, just into something. What's after this?
That was the last word. I have made my decision. So, good arguments, fellas. That one really came down to the debate, because I enjoy all of these for different reasons, for sure. Chris, you kind of had it right up until like the last minute, and then you and Adam sort of skewered each other, and Dave made a few good points about why his was the best monologue. He started to give a lot of reasons, and Dave took it at the end there.
Oh, thank you.
That one bounced around. It started on Adam's side and then went to Chris, and then good debate.
Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's gonna do it? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom.
Okay, I gotta stop.
You weep for Santiago, and
you curse the Marines.
Oh my God, it just keeps going. Yeah, I'll have you know I was not swayed by the sound clip, but no, like the most effective thing I think you said there, Dave, was how it's this great monologue, and with most great monologues, you're supposed to feel or agree with the character usually, except in this case, you don't, and you're still captivated. Yeah, you
kind of do, but you kind of don't, right? You're like, he makes I think it's complicated, and I think I think it's still pointed today, just like the whole idea of like military police culture and what it means to be a man and all of and what we allow for that. Okay, anyway.
You know what bugged me about that is, and because I love mine, but Dave said
I do too. Yours is my favorite.
Yeah, but Dave, when Dave said the movie just ended, and I go, how many other people did it just end for, without really listening to that? And I'm not saying you didn't listen, Dave. It may have got lost.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to TV.
Okay. Chris almost ruined you though, when he said nobody knows anything except you can't handle the truth, and I was like,
it's the biggest part they remember. I agree with that. But
I've never even seen the movie.
You should see it.
That's the best part.
I don't like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I mean, which sitcom best defined its era or decade? Whichever you choose to focus on, era or decade, it's fine. All right, first up this time, producer Dave.
I'm up first. Okay, here I go. Start my minute. And okay, this is not what is the best sitcom. It's what is the best sitcom defined its era. And I think I have to go with this one. No one told you life was gonna be this way. Yes, it's the Friends theme song. Nobody told you it was going to be this way. The show for me was not great throughout the whole run. I was a fan in the early years. I remember my mother dancing to the theme song in our living room while we were still living in Quebec. She thought it was the greatest show ever. It captured a nation. It captured the world. Obviously, it's still huge in syndication today. And when you think of the 90s, you think of Friends. I know it went into the 2000s as well, but it's really, to me, the 90s. Nothing could be more 1990s than Friends. Especially when you think of 1990s New York, or what 1990s TV New York was more specifically. It's Friends. I don't necessarily love the show, but it defines its era more than anything else. I think you have to go with it. I'm done. I yield the rest of my time.
So you're saying you don't love the 90s?
I kind of have a nostalgia for it, but because I grew up in that era. But I wouldn't say that I want to throw on Friends. I just think when you think 90s, you think Friends.
All right. Adam, which sitcom best defined its era decade?
I took the Simpsons, and and back then you probably wouldn't call it a sitcom, but it certainly has become one over the years. I mean, when you look back at the Simpsons, you can call it. People call it the golden age of the Simpsons. I mean, it was fantastic, and since then it's sort of lost its mystique. But it's also 30 years old now, I think. It's got some huge hallmarks. I mean, there's things that we all can reference in there, like Halloween as episodes, the multi-generational gags that are on that show that just everybody gets. You don't have to. In every episode, there's something for everybody, from the '70s kid, which is me, up to probably more recent kids as well. And then finally, just its influence on later programs. And I was just thinking of other ones that I think came after, with King of the Hill. South Park for sure. Beavis and Butthead, if you remember that show from the 90s, which was awful. Futurama, American Dad. I mean, there's just a ton of other stuff. But
Sorry.
All right. Chris, which sitcom best defined its era or decade?
Well, I think that I'm the only one that understood the question properly. So,
Strong opening.
The show that I chose is Leave It to Beaver, which really defined the 50s. When you watch that show, you see June Cleaver. All she does, she's a housewife, always wearing her dress, always hair done nice. She's always baking or doing housework or something. Well, Ward Cleaver gets up. He's always got his suit on, even at breakfast. Always wearing a suit, always wearing a tie, and going to work. You didn't even know where he worked. All they said in the show was he worked at a big corporation. You never knew where he worked. So then, the kids would get into some sort of mischief during the day, whether it be lying. Like, it wouldn't be something horrible. It wouldn't be something like nowadays, like going out and stabbing someone. It'd be like telling a lie or something like that. And then Ward Cleaver would come home, and every night he would sit in his chair, still wearing his suit, smoking his cigar, and he would give a speech. He would give those kids a lesson.
No more stabbing.
Don't act like those 2000s kids.
Yeah, you don't want to know what's coming, he said. So,
I mean, my daughter's just over 1, and she's already stabbed 3 people.
Wow.
You gotta start early.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Open debate.
all right, number one, Chris, that I love Leave It to Beaver as a kid. Okay, but when you go look back in time, and it defined a generation. It's just wrong. It was written by white guys. Hold on. White guys defining what white women and white men and white kids should all look like in their neighborhoods. And, the expectations that moms are in their pretty dresses at the end of the day, making dinner, I think put a lot of negative pressure on people that they didn't need to have. And the dad leaving in his suit and coming home, smoking a pipe. Listen, kids, my dad was called the warden by my friends, just so you know. But, it's kind of a iconic show that could never have ever been lived up to in normal society.
Well, I don't even know what decade The Simpsons defines. I mean, it's still on now. What are you talking about? The 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s?
Oh, I think that it came out in the 90s.
It did come out in the 90s, but it's still on, and it
came out in the 80s actually. And
it came out in the 80s.
It came out in the 80s on the Carol.
Yeah, but
the show's still on.
Tracy Ullman show, actually. But
Tracy Ullman show, yeah, that's it.
However, it's what it did in culture, pop culture. It set the stage. It defined television. It defined pop culture. It defined the way things were written. You're
talking about pop culture. Jerry Mathers, who played the Beaver, still is appearing at Comic Cons. People still.
You guys want to talk about pop culture? Were Ross and Rachel on a break or not? We need to know.
Yeah. Like Friends was a spin-off of Seinfeld. I don't think it defines the 90s. I lived in the 90s. It wasn't.
Friends is not a spin-off of Seinfeld.
Sure.
Well, again, you look at that.
They're both on NBC.
Where homophobia is normalized, and the way people just treated again poorly and setting again false expectations of where you should be at that point in your life. We all wanted to live and I was in that age at about that time. And I go, how the hell can they live there and afford all these nice clothes and be at the coffee shop every day? And just didn't it wasn't reality.
It's the 90s. It wasn't reality. You know,
Now,
you
The
guys-
Simpsons, on the other hand, reflected reality. It bounced everything that was coming there: politics, music, TV, media. Everything was bounced off there. It was even I mean, it's a debate whether they coincidence more likely, but they even said that Trump would be president someday, and everybody laughed, and here it was. But it became a sounding board for everything going on in the 90s. And yeah, sure, it's still on TV. Why? Because it's so damn good.
Yeah, I would say that Leave It to Beaver, Chris, is not even the best show of its era. I would say that's the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Well, that didn't define its era, though. The Dick Van Dyke Show wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't showing life as people expected it to be back then.
I think that both show all of it was kind of TV-ified and whatever to different degrees, but like it was sort of like that idealistic look. But I think that Leave It to Beaver more problematic. And Simpsons, sure, is a great show. But it's still on. So to say defend its era, you're talking about. You would have to be including today as well.
But you can't. I mean, look, you can error when it started. I mean, the fact of the matter is it became a catalyst for what television or just writing is now, or even movies.
Yeah.
I think I've made my choice.
So
Okay.
All right. Adam,
Thank you.
you got this one. That was a good debate. But Adam did a good job at taking both of your guys' debates down. I agree with what he said about Leave It to Beaver and it being more of a model they wanted people to emulate, but not necessarily it being reflective of the reality of the times. And I would say he said the same thing about Friends, and I tend to agree with that as well. And they didn't, and Simpsons just. And I don't know what you guys are talking about because Simpsons ended after 13 seasons, and I don't.
I wish it did.
You guys mean rerun?
I agree with you there. That's absolutely true.
Because like the golden era of the Simpsons, but then it just kept going on and on. The quality's gone down and down, and so.
Well, I don't even think anyone watches the new episodes.
Every time The Simpsons now comes up in any of these debates or any kind of just a conversation, you're like, "Wow, it was so great," but then it kind of like.
Yeah, but I can't even tell you anything post 2000. Honestly, like there's,
when NSYNC was on the show, I stopped watching.
Good debates so far. Let's move on to music.
Okay.
What is the best song to listen to while rocketing or flying to space? You could ask William Shatner, but I'd rather hear what you guys have to say today.
Adam's up first, right?
Adam is up first.
I'm gonna again like Dave. I'm leading off with a very short answer here, but my song was "Comfortably Numb" by Pink Floyd. I think that there's a considerable. I mean, you take the experience of flying into space, and you're sitting in a rocket ship or whatever it might be, and anxious noise. G-force is pushing you down, and you need something to calm you, and that's how the song starts. But once it gets going, there's 3 minutes of an incredible solo that just is heavy, and just for me, it gets me going every time and gets my adrenaline up, and I love that song, and I would love to have that my time, leaving the atmosphere, that song playing. Time's up.
That's all he needs. All right.
Chris.
Okay. Took a different route here. I'm going with "Leaving on a Jet Plane" by John Denver. Reason I chose this song is a lot of the lyrics as well. Like rocketing into space is a big risk, right? Leaving on a jet plane. Don't know if I'll be back again. And you know what? There's so many different versions of this song you could listen to. There's country versions. You don't have to listen to the John Denver version. Like it was made popular by Peter, Paul, and Mary. Frank Sinatra did a version. Chantal Kreviazek, the Canadian, did a version. And you know what I think about when I think of this song as well? The movie Armageddon. When Michael Duncan starts singing this song, like in his low voice, "I'm leaving on a jet plane," and then the whole cast joins in, and they're about to go rocketing into space. You know what? That part of the movie just touches my soul. I love it. That's my favorite part of the movie. I want to listen to that song while rocketing into space.
What was Adam's answer? Sorry, I just
Comfortably Numb.
Comfortably Numb.
By
Pink Floyd.
I have become comfortably numb.
Oh, that.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a bit of a singer in my day job.
Not Pink Floyd's is one of these bands that always just like, I'm like, who? I'm like, okay.
What?
Dave, sometimes I think, man, I'm a lot older than you.
I it's not even my age. It's just my Jeff knows way more about Pink Floyd than I do.
Dave, what's the best song to listen to while rocketing, flying into space, other than the Star Trek: The Next Generation theme song?
Well, it's key that you brought up Star Trek here, Davan, because
Did you pick Faith of the Heart?
I did not pick Faith of the Heart. I think I here we go. Oh yes, it is Sabotage we are going with.
I'm telling you, I'm sabotage.
Tell me, Dave, why do you want to think about sabotage while rocketing?
Well, because it was used in 2 of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies, Star Trek 2009, as well as Star Trek Beyond. Well, he produced the third movie. He didn't actually make that, but it was kind of a riff back on that original use of the thing. It was classical music, as Scotty had put it, and it's just a great. Just because of its use in those 2 films, I associate it now with going to space, with a big climax of a battle, as much as any of these other songs. Certainly more than Comfortably Numb, and then Leaving on a Jet Plane. It's not a spaceship. So Sabotage works so well. It's so. Oh, I'm out of time. So this is the problem with the producing. No one's checking me.
It's all right. You're allowed to run over a little bit. You got a lot to think about.
Can I just say, I think this is like the rebuttals here are almost meaningless because, every one of us are going to speak differently for what it means to us. And, Davan, I think, pardon me, it's going to be just down to your pick. And, listen, I'm going to be completely fair here. I'm with Chris. I like that song, but I think you can pick any 3 of them. And
well,
you know what I think?
Good point. So let me.
About my song is that there's different versions of it. You can listen to the rock version, you can listen to whatever, you can listen to the country version, whatever you like, whatever floats your boat. Comfortably Numb, there's only like really that version, and it's kind of slow. And if I'm rocketing, I don't want to listen to Comfortably Numb.
Comfortably
sleeping. Hold on, here's my rebuttal to Sabotage. That's not even the best Beastie Boys song for rocketing into space. Like I would have gone with Intergalactic. Why not Intergalactic Planetary? Like if you're rocketing into space, why don't you want a song about space?
It's not as well known.
Let me pose this to you, gentlemen, since it is a weird one to debate. How does your song make you feel while rocketing into space, and why do you want to feel that way while rocketing into space?
Well, I started to describe that, but for me, it's that. Just the unknown, where things bad are going to happen other than takeoff. It's the launch, right? You think lots of rockets blow up in the first couple minutes, and that's when you need to calm down. And you think at the beginning of Comfortably Numb, it's got that mellow feeling, late night song. But then as you get going, that and the heavy guitars come into it, it just keeps going up and up and up, and just to hear that middle to late song is just fantastic. And by the end of it, you're just amped up, ready to go.
You know what my song makes me feel like I'm leaving on a jet plane, don't know if I'll be back again. So I don't like it. It's preparing me. It's preparing me for what's going to happen. It's preparing me for, what? I'm okay if I don't come back again. I'm okay with whatever happens. You know what? I'm fine. I'm getting myself ready. I'm getting myself psyched up to get on that. And then I'm going to rocket into space and I'm going to listen to it. And it's just it's gonna fill me up with tears, and I'm gonna enjoy looking out the window and seeing like planet Earth as I'm rocketing, and I'll think like, oh wow, like Kevin William Shatner was when he was. I don't know if you heard the clips of him when he was in space, but he was like, oh my god, and it was
oh my,
just amazing.
Well, speaking of William Shatner, the young Captain Kirk, the young James T. Kirk, who stole his stepdad's car and went on a joyride, he was going on a sabotage because you know what? He is now in a different timeline, and he doesn't even know that. he doesn't even know that his dad wasn't supposed to die, and so now he wouldn't have stolen this car. He wouldn't be. Would he be listening to sabotage? I don't know, but that's why I define the Kelvin timeline. It makes me think when you go to space, you're going, man. You're going to do something. Your guys are like, oh, I'm going off into the ether. I'm probably gonna die. No, we're gonna sabotage this. We're gonna get going. We're gonna go to space.
Yeah, the only
Out of order with swaying the judge with Star Trek facts.
Hold on a second here. You can't. That's like way in the future, right? Even if it's like it's real.
Doesn't happen yet, but
Okay, judge has made his decision. Chris, I think you're the only one who really captured the awe of that moment. You will.
Exactly. Awesome.
oh, Chris gets it.
Yeah.
Holy! So are we all tied up right now?
We
Yeah.
are.
Huh.
We got a battle here. All right, bringing it up. So we are tied up, but let's see. 3 rounds to go, Dav. So,
Yep.
All right, let's go.
All right, sports. Who is the most influential athlete for their sport?
I think
How
it's
did
Chris's-
they? What was their effect on their own sport? Which was who had the greatest? Up first is Dave, I believe.
No, it's Chris.
Oh no, it's Chris. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I picked Serena Williams. Not that I'm a big tennis fan. I just think she is a huge influence on the world of tennis. There's a whole movie about her upbringing in Compton and her poor family, and you know, she didn't go to the best schools. Movie's called King Richard. King Richard, that's what it's called. You know, Will Smith plays the father, and it's all about you know, her early life and you know what, growing up in kind of a shitty kind of neighborhood, but still becoming this massive tennis star. Not only is she an influence in tennis, you know what, she's also an influence to women around the world, because she talked about her pregnancy, the trouble she went through. She had to have an emergency C-section. She had blood clots in her lungs. She had to have like 2 heart surgeries after that to get the clots out. She's just an influence on tennis. She's an influence on girls around the world. She's opened up a center in Washington, D.C.
Okay, very good. Dave, who is it?
Okay, so this was an interesting one for me because I was like, well, who's the most influential? And when you talk about influence, wouldn't that include the rules have to be completely changed because you are so good at your sport? And I'm talking about Kevin Martin in the sport of curling, who especially when he was coming up during the 1980s and like kind of the peak of his career, before him there was no like 4 rock rules. And like, if you're not familiar with curling, basically it's allowing a few rocks to go into play so that you can have a bit of a strategy, a bit of a game, because before that you could hit the rocks out right away. And because he was so dominant that they had to like create these new rules, or else the sport would have died. It would have just been like, well, whoever has the last rock is always going to win, and therefore you know, that's the end of the game. Plus he also used to like soak his heads in like Sprite apparently, and he would use that as like kind of a cheating technique when he was playing. And I think like, come on, like they gotta, and so they made new rules, like you can only change your broom head once during a game or whatever. So like several rules created just because of him. Anyway, that's my time.
Because he was a cheater?
It's true.
He was a cheater. He was like just like ruthless. Like he would if it wasn't in the rule book, he was going to do it.
Okay.
Right? Like if there was no rule against it, like then you're going to have to invent one because of him.
All right, Adam.
All right, I took Muhammad Ali for boxing, but you know, he defined the sport, but also beyond that, he was a heavyweight known for style. You know, remember the quote, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." He was the first boxer to use that moves in the boxing ring, where he would go around like crazy rather than just coming out with huge punches and things like that. He would he actually, when you think about his influence in politics, he became during the human rights, or sorry, the human rights, but the equal rights campaign, just to bring Black matters onto the forefront. You know, his allegiance with Malcolm X was key to that. You know, he took a name that was a slave name because, you know, he wanted to be sure that people understood what he thought of the race. And it was just one of those things at that time was needed. He was one of the first athletes to bring politics before the sport. And, you know, when he changed his name from Cassius Clay to, Muhammad Ali, you know, embracing Muslim, but again, staying popular in the sport. And that was a big deal at that time. And just his use of media was amazing to see too, the way he was able to manipulate and use the media to do things, and just a great man.
All right, open debate. Should be a good one.
Well, Dave, I know about curling. You know what? Kevin Martin wasn't an influencer. An influencer like does good things for the sport. He was a cheater. Let's face it. He was a cheater.
Well, but when he used to have Last Rock, right?
They had to change the rules because of him. That's why.
I wasn't cheating. Okay, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did do the whole Sprite thing, but
he was a dick. Let's face it.
Well, he was ruthless. He was ruthless within the sport, right? So he wanted to win. He wanted to win the money, and the sport, and he was going to do whatever it took. So they're like, well, maybe there's something fundamentally flawed with our game. Maybe the rules need to be adjusted, and that's what happened.
Well, and to your point, Adam, about Muhammad Ali bringing Black Matter to the forefront, I think like tennis before Serena Williams was predominantly a white sport, and we know that. And she influenced a lot of Black people, young women, you know what, to get out there, to get into sports. And
Chris, I think that Serena Williams, you might be a little ahead of your time in saying that's a definition for or defining the sport, because she's still active in it, and you don't know what the implications of what she's doing now is going to be in 10 or 15, 20 years. But when looking back on Ali and just seeing how he was so instrumental in changing the sport, and also just creating other boxers, look at who followed him. I'm just thinking of other, like Tyson for sure, you know, followed his style, his use of media, Sugar Ray, who was the other guy oh my gosh, Smokey Joe, but the other guy who did the George Foreman, thank you, that it is, that guy. But also the use of their the media in what they've done, but also to bring what their political moves and beliefs are forward and change society.
Yeah, like I just don't know.
And Dave, I just don't know Kevin Martin. I couldn't tell you anything about him.
Well, from what I told you about what I described when that sell it though, like because I think that Muhammad Ali more of an influencer on culture, and he happened to be a boxer, but it was not really his influence on boxing. You know.
Yeah, but okay, but you can say that. But if you want to go down to that, I mean, he did change the way that boxing was done. Before Ali came in, the guys just came together and threw a lot of, what do you call them? Big punches. I'm not
haymakers.
Haymakers. Thank you so much. But, you know, just the whole dancing around, he's almost like exercising a ballet in the ring, you know, and you've seen that after that significantly in the sport.
Right. His influence was to make boxing more like pro wrestling, I think, like, because he was like kind of like following Gorgeous George's kind of moniker, like wanting to be the villain.
But yeah, it's true. But boxing also was much bigger than wrestling at that point in time.
Right, but he watched that and kind of took it, and that's kind of I think if you want to say about his influence on the sport, it's that. But that also, you know, he like it's also accomplishments, but and then the tennis one, Chris, like I don't know, like it's like yes, but you can say the same thing with Tiger Woods in golf, and I think that there's other examples.
Yeah, but I don't think Tiger Woods is going to leave the legacy that other athletes could.
Well, I think my choice is the only one that has an influence on her sport and on society, because she spent her own time and money opening up a tennis center in Washington D.C. for young women, and she's also out there an advocate for like postpartum depression and women who are going through things like that. So my choice is the only one who's an influence on the sport and on society.
No, that's absolutely wrong. Muhammad Ali is a huge influencer on society, huge, and you know.
All right,
I will say this: my guy is not a huge influence on society at all. Like the question was, who is the most influential athlete for their sport? And I think
but Dave, you can expand that well beyond a sport. I mean, a sport, because why do people like boxing or even know about boxing? Because of that iconic giant personality that takes it beyond the fans. It's much more than that.
Okay. This is an interesting one. I think You made some very convincing arguments, Chris, but I tried to discount anything that strayed from, as Dave said, the question of, I was just talking about the sport. Any outside influence on behalf of Lee and Williams, I didn't really weigh into this.
Completely wrong,
but,
in my opinion.
But Adam made a good point about Serena Williams that, like, you may be right, Chris, but we don't know yet. And I think that's probably the case. So I was trying to wrap my head around this whole curling thing, so you helped me with that, Chris.
Is there anything I could explain to you that would help?
No, it was.
You don't have a sound clip, so
eventually
you can't
trying to figure out if the only thing significant that I got from your argument was that they did change like this rock rule because of his skill. Right, that was the main.
Not because of his skill, because he was cheating. A lot of people can do that.
No, they're two different things, right? But
I got that they're two different things.
Yeah. It used to be like basically because whoever had the last rock, so they would just blank every end until the end, and then everyone's booing because it's the most boring curling they've ever watched. Because whoever has the advantage there was like, no, I won't give this up. So they had to change the rules.
Yeah, so I had to weigh that very heavily in that. It's very significant, but I still think Adam took it with Muhammad Ali. And Dave, you helped him with that. By bringing up the pro wrestling angle, and there was no bigger influence on any of these sports, I think, than the spectacle that Muhammad Ali added to boxing, and that has persisted.
I was just trying to help Adam's argument, and I did just that.
Yeah,
thanks,
you did.
Dave.
Because he was talking about him being a cultural icon, and I'm like, well,
Well, I still believe
I discounted that part, though.
No, but I don't think you can, if you don't mind me saying, because you look at
you won anyway.
Sports, I know, but I'm just saying when sports icons like Gretzky, and I'm surprised nobody took Gretzky or Sid Crosby or anybody like that who takes the sport and brings it to the general mass, and more and more people know about the sport because of that person. I think it's just a win for the sport.
Well, but that's the argument I didn't want to have, because that would just obliterate Dave's right off the start, because curling has no cultural influence. So it's like you might as well just
very
not pick
little
a curler.
Unless you play the sport, you're completely oblivious to.
So I didn't want to have that argument. I wanted to get to your specific to the sport, so you could pick any sport. So I thought that was good. Muhammad Ali was always going to be tough to beat. I mean, an epic figure.
Yes.
Though there was some fancy footwork before him, like Willie Pep and the Willie Pep step. But all right.
Crazy.
Next up, we have history. This is the one I'm looking forward to the most, I think. Well, these last two really. Which historical figure's life story would be best told in a comedy? Dave.
I think I'm up, right? Yeah. I said William Shakespeare. Because I think like a lot of his plays were comedies, and I think that I think Shakespeare in Love from the 90s I think is kind of in that same vein. Like, how are you going to tell his story? Like how the anecdotes. How does a writer find those kinds of stories, the most classic stories in modern English literature? Macbeth, King Lear, all of these things. Merchant of Venice, and I think that I think the whole like troupe, like the theater company that he would have been with, I think you could tell a really good, funny story about his life in a comedy. He's not really controversial. He's pretty much, people know who he is to this day, despite he's been dead for 400 years. And I think that you could modernize it in a really funny way. Anyway, that's my minute.
The bird. Hardy hard. Adam.
I took King Henry VIII. And again, when you look at this man and what he became in historical value as far as, creating two churches and whatnot, but the guy had 6 wives, 2 he divorced, 2 he killed, and 1 outlived him. And I don't know what happened to the third one, but it's just remarkable. Like that in itself could be just a sitcom for a season based on just the wives, and just other things about the man were just amazing to read. Is first of all his weight and his stature. He was a very big guy at 6'2", for those days was huge, but he was also about over 300 pounds. And that could be a good storyline. He was a hypochondriac. Everything bothered him. He couldn't get through a day without thinking he was dying for something. He also became self-diagnosing and trying to treat himself with things. So again, I think that's a really funny storyline, hypochondriac and a king that wants to treat himself. And then finally, I love this one. He was known as a hoarder, and he kept everything, and combined all of those things with the wives, the 6 wives, the murder of the wives, the divorce of the wives, and then just his stature and his influence on the world and religion at the time. It would be very funny to write.
Okay, some strong points, Chris. Who's the funniest historical figure? No.
It's not about the funniest historical figure. It's about
it's not.
best told in a comedy.
Absolutely.
So I went with Jesus, and I think this will be hilarious because you can start from the beginning to the end of his life. Like, you know what? The Bible doesn't really tell you anything about Jesus' growing up. But can you imagine the other kids picking on him when they found out that his mom was a virgin? Oh yeah, right, Jesus. Yeah, your parents didn't even have sex. Okay. You know what? You could.
We haven't even had sex ed yet.
You could make fun of Joseph. Imagine Mary telling Joseph, "Oh, I'm pregnant. Oh, but we haven't even had sex yet. Oh, well, it was God. It was God that did it." It would just be hilarious. You could tell a story about him growing up. Then you could, his miracles like walking on water, you could make fun of that. You could, Jesus is just a funny guy. Like he's made fun of on a lot of things. Like I remember one Family Guy, Jesus was there, and they're like, Jesus, do a miracle, and he's like going like do 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 do, and his fingers are just going back and forth. Like there's so much comedy you could write about this guy. It's amazing.
Okay, open debate.
Wow. Okay. What do you say?
Segments of comedy.
Okay. Which of these are a comedy? Yeah, you're like beginning to end. I was like, you mean the end where they nailed him to a cross? Where are you going to find the comedic beat there?
Well, but then he came back to life. You could make fun of him. You could be like, it could be like covering his eyes, and you could still see through his hands. Like it would be
like, yeah. Okay. If you had a sense of humor about the whole execution thing,
it's a Dawn of the Dead or Evil Dead.
There's so much material there to write about.
Yeah. Henry VIII. They did make a show about him. It was called The Tudors. But
that was a serious show. It was a serious
show. I never
show.
laughed.
It was a serious show. It was never meant to be funny. But
right.
Again, Davan, like I look at all three of these and go, like, yes, Dave would be kind of fun to see the comedy. I kept thinking about Waiting for Guffman. I thought of when he was talking about the comedy, the writing troupe behind him. It's good. And Jesus, that would be funny too. I like them all. I think we should all get a point.
Is the debate over? Are you guys just agreeing to agree?
Well, I don't know.
I think they're conceding the point to me, Davan. But I think
no, there was no concession there at all. I think you should choose wisely.
I think that theirs are more problematic because there's like they have to historically kind of work their way around some pretty deep stuff.
You don't. For mine, he had 6 wives.
And he cut their heads off.
He killed 2 of them. What's funny about that? Is it funny to kill your wives? No.
I think
not funny.
Dude, I think it depends who wrote it. Depends who wrote it.
Jody says he would watch Chris's Jesus show.
Same with me. Like, but I'd watch my show too. I could already see how it could be written. It'd be a very darkly written. Kevin Smith could write this show.
I wore this button-up shirt for you, Jody. I can clean up. I saw that episode.
Davan's gonna play Jesus in this.
I played Jesus in a movie trailer before. It's on YouTube. You can go see that.
I only got to play
Christ. It's on there.
I was the Roman who killed Jesus in the Stations of the Cross, and then they were yelling "Jesus killer" at me in the hallways. It's true.
Well, I really want to see Chris's movie, and he practically wrote it there in front of us. He laid out all the story beats.
This is a fascinating episode. Chris is leading with the last question coming back in. Good.
No, you guys are tied.
Yeah, I'm in trouble here. I'm not.
What happens if it goes 2-2-2?
You have to on the fly make up another question. Usually, it would be like you would just decide who was the weakest of the three, and then you would cut that person. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. So
Okay.
I need the point. I need the point just to force that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. Wild card.
And Jody just wants to say, no one wants to watch a comedy about Shakespeare. What drugs are you on, Dave? Why? I don't know if nobody. Like,
I would.
You know,
I would.
yeah. Okay. So debunked, Jody. Debunked.
Sorry, Jody. I like you a lot, but I agree with Dave.
Maybe not if Dave was the writer. I wasn't really.
Maybe not. I don't think I pitched it very well. Granted. Okay. So let's get the ding 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 going here.
Ding, ding. What is the most significant scientific breakthrough of the last 10 years, Adam?
I am going with CRISPR. And if you don't know what that is, it's a technology that can be used to edit genes. And honestly, the potential here can change the world. You know, it's simple. It's finding a way. It's not simple at all. It's but basically finding a specific bit of DNA in the cell and then editing that DNA to do something. So if you think about this, if I have a cancer gene and they can identify that and pull that out of my DNA, I won't get the cancer. Conversely, you know, if you wanted to go to the science fiction route, you know, when you say, okay, I want a kid with no potential to wear eyeglasses, no potential for illness, he wants to be 6 feet tall, blonde hair, whatever it might be, you could develop that person. I mean, the danger here is amazing. The debates are amazing how this is going to go. But just when you think of the potential to alter every living thing in the world is just, to me, to be just mind-boggling. And where this goes is going to be really interesting to see.
He's got 3 seconds left on the clock, so he's all
That's
good.
okay. Yeah.
Sci-fi is cool. There's your 3 seconds. Okay. Chris, what's the most significant scientific breakthrough of the last 10 years?
I think I went with something pretty obvious. I'm going to go with the COVID-19 vaccine. I mean, like, do you remember when COVID first started? I remember we all thought it was going to go away within a month, then 2 months. We thought that COVID was everywhere. And then I remember watching Justin Trudeau on TV one day, and he said, like, you know what? This is not going to go away. This is not going to go away until we develop a vaccine. And it took about a year from that point until the first vaccine came out. And many people were dying. People still die now. But the significance of the vaccine now is that the science behind it, if you can still get COVID when you have the vaccine, but you're not going to end up in the ICU. You're not going to die from it. You're going to get sick for a few days. And I think that's wonderful. I think it saved millions and millions of lives around the world. Like so many people have died from this disease. I think the last year of issuing vaccines has saved so many lives.
Very good. Very good. Dave.
Okay. So for this one, I went with the discovery in 2016. And you got to follow along with me here. I have an uphill battle here, but they discovered a planet that's only 4.2 light years from Earth. It's called Proxima b. It's believed to be in the habitable zone. It has to be confirmed still, but there's a very good chance that this planet, which is relatively close to us, you know, it's still 4.2 million light years, which is not 4.2 light years, which is still very far. But, you know, I think that the discovery of more habitable planets, the colonization of the human race onto those planets, whether they be on, you know, something onto Mars or the moon, is prudent because there was this big rock that hit Earth a long time ago. It killed a lot of dinosaurs. I would like for the human race not to end up in their fate. And I think that the discovery of places we can colonize the human race out into space, I think, is a very important scientific breakthrough and something that we have to keep pursuing overall. Oh, I'm out of time. Got to keep me honest there, damn it.
Where's my gavel? Appealing to the Star Trek loving host.
Okay, first of all,
oh, your host. That's the first Trivial Debates thing.
First of all, Dave, I don't think that yours is a scientific breakthrough. I think yours is a discovery. It's something that's already been here. It's not a scientific breakthrough. And as for Adam, I think that yours has the potential to be very dangerous. I don't think that people should necessarily be able to create their own kids in the image that they want? Like, do we want a world of everyone being 6'2" with blue eyes and blonde hair? I don't think that's
Look more like me.
I think that we should
Good
go
looking people.
Yeah, Chris, I think that yours are a little linked as far as what we discover or define as the best inventions, breakthroughs. However, yours is like just a piece of what mine can be. Imagine that we define just find out something that can where nobody gets sick, or nobody develops any things that are limiting to their own well-being and their ability to grow and learn and whatnot. I think this is a fantastic discovery. Yes, it could be dangerous, but it's also which direction you go. I mean, it doesn't. We don't know yet. Dave, yours is a discovery. I think that it will take the discovery of a comet that's going to hit us to make us think about how to get there.
Yeah. Don't look. Did you see Don't Look Up?
I did.
Yeah.
I like
even that it probably won't do much good.
Yeah. Well, that was a great ending.
Yeah, I think with CRISPR is one of these things that really scares me, and I wonder if it's going to eventually be like sort of outlawed or highly controlled if it's not already.
It has to be controlled. It has to be controlled
because, like, my understanding is that you can like do anything with it. Like, you can.
To bring it to our judge, this is like Superhumans, Con-esque. What you can do.
Eugenics.
Yes.
Right. Well, even just like the moral debate, like, should you be able to choose if you have a boy or girl, right? If you're gonna have a baby, right? Like, but you can take away beyond that. You can choose all kinds of traits, like how much.
Yeah, but don't look at the negative here. You can also take a lot of things that are negative about the randomness of being born the way it is today.
True.
Yeah.
Well, where's the justice in being born with like disease or something?
So 10 years from now, we might not be able to control that. We might not, deformities might be gone.
Right, but it's not going to matter if we're all dead because an asteroid hit the planet, and we need to find another planet to go live on. And
would you stop looking up, Dave?
Just don't look up. Whether that be colonizing Mars or whether that I think more realistically, if we can find a planet, it might not be this specific planet, but I think like continuing to advance astrometric science in the way that we can identify more of that, and then also the space travel that would be necessary. I think that let's not put all our eggs in one basket. The eggs being the human race, the basket being Earth.
Well, Dave, there's billions of people on the planet, dude. We got to discover a way to get all these people there. It's going to be.
That's another kettle of fish, because you're going to see then who goes. To your point.
Yeah.
Don't look up.
Yeah, but then only the rich get to go, and then they get eaten by an aardvark or whatever. So when they get there.
Okay. All right. Are you guys done?
Yeah, we still have 30 seconds left. But
final jabs. Get it? Anyway.
I think, Chris, and I am not an anti-vaxxer by any. I'm total support of the vaccine, but we still wait. We still have to see where we're going there. It hasn't been. We haven't lived the length of this, and people still do get sick and die, even being vaccinated, very small amounts.
They do.
So it's just a false statement saying they don't.
Well, it lessens you. COVID.
Yes, totally agree. Totally agree, but you just don't say no.
It's a good vaccine. It's not perfect, but it's good, and it was.
But honestly, when you start quoting Trudeau, you lose me right away. So.
Gotta bring politics.
He was right on this.
Okay.
Okay. A couple comments here from Jody. He says he's rooting for Chris. He's done great this episode, Team Chris. He says, "Bye, Dave."
You're done.
He doesn't, and he says, "Tell."
You're right. Dave didn't win.
Yeah, I have a feeling I'm not. I'm out.
It was a discovery, and there's too much still yet to happen. But see, that's the case with all your guys' things. Now, you almost gutted your own argument there, Adam. You did win this one, but you almost gutted it when you went after Chris and you said the effects of which we've yet to really see. It's the same with CRISPR. Now, the most significant thing CRISPR is going to do, it hasn't done yet.
Well, that's why I said potential.
Yeah, exactly. But in significance doesn't denote whether it's a good or a bad thing. So like when people kept piling onto you, here's the things that CRISPR could do. That's just adding to your argument, not taking from it. So that, yeah. Sorry, Dave.
It's okay.
wasn't a vendetta,
I don't think
swear.
I think my answers in the first 3 questions were stronger than it was. I think it was the lack of sound clips. I think if I had come with 6 sound clips, I think I would have done better.
Yeah,
But
what
it
does
only came-
Proxima B sound like, Dave? You know,
We don't know yet. We don't know. It's
It's got to have some radio signal.
It's a recent breakthrough.
Yeah, I'm reading about it
Like
here
that.
on the side. I'm quite enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Oh, yeah.
but like we're not even talking about it, and we should be.
I'm excited about Proxima B.
There we go. We might be going. We might be Proximans.
What are
Okay,
you
so
gonna
on that
listen to
note,
on our way there?
I've been eliminated, so I'm.
You're back to your primary role.
I'm back
Yeah.
to. I'm back to
Stick
doing what I
around.
do,
Produce.
which is
Fantastic.
So I'm gonna come off here.
All right, me and
you
Chris.
guys
This is
are
a
in for a
first.
treat.
Let's go.
Producer Dave is something else. Okay, so you got all right. Here we go. Number 1 here. Practical effects are better than CGI.
Are we jumping in with?
Yeah, whoever hollers it gets to go with that one. Practical effects are better than CGI.
False.
No, CGI is way better.
You both went for false, but Adam got in first.
Will.
All right. I think that CGI, first of all, it became it brought worlds and moves and visuals that we could never possibly see in other pictures before CGI. The believability has just become incredible over the years. You can see the early days of CGI versus the today. It's amazing to see the difference, but just the ability to tell a story. And that's what a movie is. It's to remove you from here and put you somewhere else in your mind. And that's what that CGI effects have just been able to do.
You know what? I don't think CGI effects really make a movie or break a movie. What makes a movie is the acting. And you could have a scene, it doesn't need to have CGI. If you see the emotion of an actor or an actress like doing their job well, and you can feel that emotion, that's just as powerful as any CGI. I mean, I like watching stuff blow up and I like watching dinosaurs and shit like that we wouldn't have without CGI. But I believe that the actors actually make the movie. And it's not the CGI effects that make the movie.
I would, do we have a rebuttal here?
Yeah.
Okay. I would argue, Chris, that, you take an actor who was acting against a green screen or a blue screen, has to act better. They have to make it more believable because they're acting with no influence of anything else behind them, what's going on behind them. And I agree, the acting is a key to any movie. But what is wrong with then being able to put in the best sequence behind it to make it look just more believable?
What? But the movies can be great without CGI. Like Dave won the round earlier. You can't handle the truth. You know what? That scene doesn't need any CGI at all. It was,
but it doesn't warrant it. It doesn't need it because it doesn't warrant it.
CGI is not needed to make the movie great.
No, it
Great
doesn't.
movies
It's
can be
not.
made without CGI.
It's not needed in some movies. One room movies, is just a fine aspect to that. But when you want to take a movie beyond what it is in one room, or making little claymations of enterprises and fly them against the sky, it doesn't work. I would much rather watch an enterprise fly in CGI than a model.
I have a winner. Your heart wasn't in it, Chris. Adam won this one, but you're both, because you wanted to both debate the same thing, and you're both wrong. Practical effects are way better. The model enterprise looks way better than CGI enterprise.
No.
So does.
Well, I didn't get the choice I wanted.
I know. All right, so I was supposed to do these speed round questions in like the same categories. I don't know that I did that, but I'll try to match them up as best as I can. TV, we'll go with something media-based anyway. Podcasts are the best form of media.
No.
Okay,
They're definitely not the best form of media. When you look at television, you look at there's radio, there's newspapers, there's so many other forms of media out there. How can you call podcasts the best? I mean, podcasts are great, but sometimes I want to watch a movie. Sometimes I want to watch a TV show. Sometimes I want to watch stuff on YouTube that's not a podcast. I want to watch something funny. I want to watch something on TikTok. I wouldn't say that anything is the best form of media. There's so much media out there.
Adam.
Okay. I think the podcasts have become the voice of the people. And considering back in the late 80s and early 90s, there was over 90 media stations in America alone that could present different points of view and different stories than the less than 10 that we have now. the media today can craft anything they want, any direction they want, and get the buy-in because they have it. The podcast allows other stories to be told.
You know what? Media could be anything, though. Media, like I said, could be TikTok. It could be YouTube. It could be someone expressing their opinion on there. You don't need to have a podcast these days to express your opinion.
But how do you get it? How do you?
On Facebook. There's so many different types of media that I wouldn't call any of them the best. I don't think there's a best form of media. I think they all have their place, and I wouldn't call any of them the best.
Well, I
call the podcast
I disagree. I think that people's when it's dangerous when the voice is controlled by certain people or certain corporations, and you only have one direction. The podcast allows other voices to be put out there, and frankly, none of us would have this kind of fun without a podcast.
There's other forms of media that you don't. There's not the media like YouTube. People could have their own YouTube channel. You can express yourself in other ways.
But I think the podcast also allows interaction and debate rather than. I
think podcasts are great, but I don't think it's fair to call any form of media the best form of media.
All right, I have made my decision. I didn't think Chris could destroy my debate topic as well as he did. I thought it was going to be someone would pick TV to go against it or something. He's just like, nah, there's no best, and here's why. And I was like, oh, all right, you're right. Chris takes the point. And your point about there's other kind of substitutes you could throw in for podcasts. See, I didn't think about that either when I thought of the question. Good job, Chris. You kind of defeated me. Okay, music. I do have a music one. Bagpipes are underutilized in pop music.
True.
All right.
Bagpipes are great. I don't know if you guys know of a band called the Mudmen. They're from the East Coast. They're fantastic. It's like a rock band with bagpipes in the background, and it just enhances the song so much. You could throw in songs like AC/DC. There's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. That song features bagpipes. You know what? These are only the two bands that come to the top of my head that actually utilize bagpipes. More, I think. Okay,
Chris, I think that there's a place for bagpipes, and you identified a few of them, which is great. And because of their unique sound, because of the way they are, they're memorable. But if they became used more as Davan has asked us, I don't think they would be as appreciated as they could be. A lot of people really do not like the bagpipe. It's an annoying sound. It's very high pitched. There's a guy down the road that practices every now and then. Everybody's in the neighborhood's cringing.
There's a lot of people that don't like country music. You don't have to listen to it if you don't like it. There's a lot of people that don't like rap music. You don't have to listen to it. If there's a bagpipe song that's out there and I want to listen to it, then that's fantastic. The question is, are bagpipes underutilized? I say yes, because I can only think of two bands that have used the bagpipes.
But because you have thought of those two bands, it makes them stand out, it makes them special, and makes them unique, right? Because of that. I mean, my goodness, even in movies, again, I go to Star Trek. I mean, who can never forget Wrath of Khan again, where Spock is being ejected into space with whatever song being played.
I don't think that they should be utilized in every song, but I think they are underutilized in the music industry as a whole. Because the songs that I know with bagpipes in them are fantastic.
Yeah, you've made that point 5 times. But the point being is there's only 2 songs that you can say in one band. I mean, really, they're not.
That's why they're underutilized.
They're not listen, if they were going to be overutilized or utilized more, people would have already capitalized on that and made it worthy to make money on. They just can't do it because it's not that popular.
Someone's got to try it.
Oh my God, Chris, it's annoying. There's only 5 songs on bagpipes, as far as I know. It's boring as shit.
I think they're fantastic.
I didn't think the bagpipe argument was going to be the most.
This is the one where people got upset.
People are losing it. Oh, geez. Bagpipes aren't as controversial here on the East Coast. They're everywhere. Okay, you know what? 5 times or not, it was a good point. Chris, you take it.
Oh, for Jesus Christ!
All right, we got a 4-4 tie with how many questions we got left here?
3 to go.
Okay, good.
Oh boy.
If you have something sporty themed, this would be the time.
Sporty. What can I do? Sporty. Okay, survivalism is kind of a sport now, right?
Mhm.
All right. I'd rather be trapped outside for 24 hours in a snowstorm than a rainstorm.
False.
Okay.
I'd rather be trapped outside in a rainstorm for 24 hours because I'm not as cold. Rain is wet for sure, but I don't want to be freezing. I don't want to die of frostbite. I don't know how to survive. I don't know how to build an igloo. This is a personal question for me, right? So I'd rather be trapped in the rain. I can go sit under a tree. I can try to shelter myself. I can try to do something. I don't know what I would do out in the snow. I can barely stand shoveling my driveway. I don't for 10 minutes.
I've done a lot of winter camping over the years, and I can tell you from personal experience, I would much rather be in a snow than a rain. And being wet absolutely sucks. I don't care if it's warm or it's cold. It's the worst. You can never get a chill out of your bones. At least when it's snow, you can, shelter yourself, whether it be a tent or a snow cave or whatever it might be, out of the wind. And honestly, once you're in that, if you've ever been in one, it becomes sort of what your body heat emits.
I don't know how to build a snow cave, Adam, and I don't think you're allowed to have a tent if you're outside. I don't think you're allowed to have a tent. I don't think that's part of the rules.
What do you mean?
Because or else I'd have a tent in the rain. So that's not part of the rules. But I do know how to go under a tree.
What's the rules? He asked a question.
Undefined.
But you're not allowed to have a tent. Because if I have a tent in the rain, that would be great. Like I'm fine in there. But you're still going to be cold.
Yeah, no, I did say trapped outside. I did say trapped outside. You're trapped outside. No tent.
Okay. Honestly, I could live much better outside in snow. And then, do I have a snow? Am I at least dressed for the weather, Davan? Can I have that?
Oh, sure.
Okay, then I could absolutely survive better in a snow than a rain. 100%.
You can get frostbite. You can't get frostbite from rain.
It's easier to get out of the wind, out of the elements, and just be in the cool air. It really is. I mean, even if I was trapped outside right now in the cold, I could dig into the snowbank that's out in my street and get out of the wind and create myself and be quite comfortable for at least 24 hours.
All right, I give that one to Adam.
Yeah,
being wet's the worst, man. Like your feet will swell up in like an hour and you're done here. Okay.
Adam's up to
Storm
5.
is the greatest female superhero. That's a science question, a history question. Yeah, why not? There's historical superheroes. That's pretty close. Yeah, let's go with it. Storm is the greatest superhero. Paul, all right, go for it.
Storm is the greatest superhero? Is that the question?
Female superhero.
There's so many other great ones. I mean, like how can you nail it down to just Storm? Actually, I'm not really a big comic book guy. I don't know who Storm is. Like I know who Wonder Woman is. Like, isn't she better? I don't know. I have no idea what Storm does. But what about Wonder Woman? What about Catwoman? What about like Supergirl? Like, there's so many other female superheroes that how can you pick one to be the greatest? They are all great in their respective ways.
I think that you're absolutely right, Davan. Storm is the greatest superhero, and just the ability to do what she does and controlling the elements that is amazing. Chris, she can make it rain on you all day long. You'd be very happy, but could she make it snow on you too? Honestly, that power itself, I think we had a debate over, which witch is the best a few months ago. This is the best one for 100%. Controlling the weather, controlling the elements, wipes out everything.
But who would win if like Storm and say Supergirl got in a fight?
Storm.
I don't know.
Storm.
I don't think there would be, because what is Supergirl going to be afraid of some rain? Like is Batwoman going to be afraid of some rain? I don't think so.
Yeah, but they might be afraid of a tornado.
Wonder Woman has an invisible jet. She'll just fly above the clouds. What's going to do then, eh? Let's see now, Storm. I'm flying above the clouds.
So
Woo!
So what, Chris? She's just gonna run forever because she can't fight her.
Oh god. Okay. I've heard enough.
Okay.
I could have crushed this debate. I pretty much made that one for me. Storm is the greatest, but Chris, you win.
Okay.
Are you just trying to keep this going, Davan?
No, it's gonna be no. Chris is crushing the speed round. This is the last one. All right.
All
This
right.
is
So
our
yeah, this is
wild
for all the
card.
marbles here, guys.
All the marbles.
Well, somebody's got to win.
Yeah, someone has to win.
LeVar Burton should host trivial debates from now on.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you say false?
I did.
He
you
did.
said yes. We're good.
You said yes.
All right. I said yes.
Proper
Yep.
disagreement here.
All right. LeVar Burton, I think that he's got, first of all, he's got the ability and the experience to be a good host on this show. He would probably pick all Star Trek questions and Reading Rainbow questions, which I could totally get on with.
Yes. All right.
All right.
You know, I think he's got the personality for it, and he would definitely have the knowledge that we needed to pick the right winners, which would be me all the time.
Whoa.
You know what? You said it right there. He would always choose Star Trek and Reading Rainbow questions. This show would get so damn boring. And not only that, like, this is our show. Dave Mader created this show. Yes, LeVar Burton's a great guy, and maybe he would be a guest host, like on Jeopardy, right? He wouldn't be the greatest. He wouldn't be the host every single time. That would be no fun for us. We all have fun hosting. Davan, you're having fun right now hosting. You wouldn't be having this much fun with LeVar Burton hosting right now, would you?
Rebuttal.
I think that LeVar Burton would bring an elevation to this show and a hell of a lot of subscribers after this show if he was him the host. Simply because of the experience that he has in the media and the directing that he's had, and just the decades of acting that he's had.
Okay, the number of subscribers. You know what? That could be brought up by having Hulk Hogan host the show every week. That could be like
the question was LeVar Burton, man. Like, that's it.
Because people are tuning in to watch LeVar Burton. They're not tuning in to watch our show that Dave Mader created.
Oh, we would be the comedy.
It would be
If only I was the judge.
Then he might even get his own friends on the show, and it will become less of Dave's show. And you know what? We're making this our thing right now. We have fun with it. We don't need celebrities interfering with our fun and ruining
Celebrity interference.
ruining our end of the month Sundays. It would just be horrible. And you know what? He would get boring after a time, always asking Star Trek questions. It would just
Okay, you lost me right there because I could do a whole.
Okay, Adam, then you would always win because you know a lot about Star Trek.
No, I'd be challenged by these guys.
I would have no fun on this show because I don't really watch Star Trek. I would have no fun at all. I'd probably never be on the show again if LeVar Burton was hosting all the time.
All right. I've heard enough.
Well, there it is, man. I win.
There already is a preeminent Star Trek debate show, and it's called Debate 9, and it's over on Locutors of Trek. Chris, you are the champion of the day.
Wow.
Wow. It's been a minute.
They told me it couldn't happen, Chris. They told me
Where
it
is
couldn't
Ashley?
happen.
Ashley last night totally slammed you, Chris.
Well,
Yeah.
I've won this show before. It was one time.
Hey, Chris, you got to bask in your glory here.
Woo! Give it the glory!
Good debates all around, though.
Thanks, guys. That was fun.
Okay, we can all be equals now.
Good.
Guys, that was a great episode. I was happy to be out of that speed round. It was fun to watch you guys go back and forth. And Chris just frustrate Adam with his answers.
Bagpipes.
Bagpipes? What are you talking about, Chris? Like, it's 4 songs. Only that's it.
Oh, man.
I freaking hate the bagpipes, man.
Well,
Because that neighbor of yours?
I had to think about it after. I was like, why did I vote for bagpipes?
Adam's neighbor's watching this with a single tear running down his cheek.
Oh, God, here he comes.
Jody Simpson says here, Chris, rocking this debate. Proud of you, Chris.
Thanks, Jody.
Jody also saying, he's throwing his hat in the ring for the next episode. It's time he shows the true champs. Who is the true champ of Trivial Debates? He's the champ. Yeah. all right, we can do something. Get you in there. Oh, and Chris says, congrats, Chris. Or sorry, Jody says, congrats, Chris. I'm sorry.
Hashtag Team Chris. One of them hash browns.
So when did Jody start being a fan of you on Trivial Debates, Chris? He used to be your biggest
when he's not debating against me.
Oh yeah, so he cheers for you as long as you're not an opponent. Okay,
he's a glory chaser. He saw the win coming, and he's just like Team Chris.
Yeah, I'm on board. I see this coming. It's gonna happen because Chris, this is like what, your second win ever?
Ever, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the first time you got a win, Jody was like, it was because I wasn't there that week. Just stop it. So, but congrats. Yeah, you were really funny in a lot of those answers. I don't know what went wrong.
It was a funny show. It was good.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks so much, Davan. You were a great host today. This was episode, the beginning of season 5 of Trivial Debates, if you can believe it. We started this back in like 2016, I think, or something like that, or 14 even. I don't know. We took a couple years off, and then we came back with it when we went to the video format. But make sure we do a episode monthly. Now, this is technically our January episode, so I'm going to see what we're going to be doing for February. I think Jody is going to be in on some level for the next one. And we'll kind of figure out who's hosting and who's competing and everything else. I think Jameel wanted to be on this episode, and I forgot about that. So I want to get Jameel back in for another episode as well. And what am I missing? Well, you should also check out Davan's shows. He mentioned them a couple times, but he's got his own YouTube and podcast outlets, including Locutors of Trek, which is his Star Trek channel, where he has Debate 9. That's like a Star Trek Trivial Debates kind of thing.
You got to think of how Tuvok says censor. It's locutors of Trek.
Locutor
in honor of Tuvok.
Censors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Locutors.
Maybe that's my Ontario accent coming through.
Must
I
be.
don't know. Must be. Yeah. And then you also have your X-Men, the animated series, where you talk about Storm. Who? That was funny. Well, you think Wonder Woman's gonna be afraid of the raid?
Storm is the greatest.
Kill
I don't
me.
even know who Storm is.
The X-Men.
Well, Halle Berry played her in the X-Men movie.
Oh, that wasn't Storm.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, we just had David, Marvel artist David Cutler on to help us review Days of Future Past Part 1. And
wow.
We got Days of Future Past Part 2 coming up.
That's a great
Tuesday.
story. That's a great story.
It is.
So I'm a big fan. If you ever need a guest, let me know. That's on Tuesdays, right? You guys do that?
Tuesdays at be 7 your time.
7 hour time. Okay, great. And then also you should check out our other channels. We have 2 other ones beyond Trivial Debates. One is called Live Long and Podcast. It's a Star Trek themed TV and movie review channel where we look at new and old episodes of Star Trek and movies, including on Monday nights, we talk about Star Trek Enterprise. If you've ever watched that show, we do that with Jody Simpson, Adam Woodward, Kevin Millard. We've been going through all the episodes. I think we're up to episode 10, I think, or something now. And we're continuing through the 10th, the first season right now. We're told it's going to get better. I
booked a seat for Silent Enemy some time ago, so I'll tell you guys why the show's
Silent
great.
Enemy, is that coming up in the first season? Is that the Romulan
it's like
one?
number 12 or something. No, it's an awesome Hoshi episode.
Okay. Yeah, so we talk about Star Trek Enterprise each week. The Scott Bakula starring one from the early 2000s, as well on Deep Space Tuesdays. We talk about Star Trek Deep Space Nine at 9ish, with Jeff Mader leading the station when he remembers to wake up. And we just talked to. We're into the 5th season now. We've been talking about all those episodes in order. We've been doing that for almost 2 years. We just talked about looking for Parmak in all the wrong places, and this Tuesday we'll be talking about Ignore the Battle to the Strong, which is kind of a really war themed episode, a Jake Sisko themed episode, if you can believe it.
Gold, Jerry, gold.
We'll be talking about that on Tuesday night, and then Thursday we're returning with Star Trek Discovery. Season 4 is coming back. They've been on hiatus since December. We just talked about Star Trek Prodigy over the month of January as they continued their first season. I was talking about that with Davan and Jessica Chan.
Good season.
If you guys haven't seen Star Trek Prodigy, you need to go and watch it. It is a great show. It's meant for kids. It's a Nickelodeon show, but it's as much Star Trek as anything else.
It's less childish than the Discovery.
It's less childish than Discovery. It's more mature in a lot of ways. It's
It is way more mature.
Yeah. But I'm excited to be getting back to Discovery with Adam and Michael this Thursday, and then Star Trek Picard coming up in about a month, and then Strange New Worlds after that. Plus, you should also check out our other thing we do, which is called Star Trek Radio Theater, which we do like script reads of the episodes. Chris has been on an episode, and many of us have. And so we did First Contact at the end of December. That was our season 2 finale. We are now planning season 3. We've got a whole bunch of great episodes coming your way, and guest stars and everything else for 2022. So check out Live Long and Podcast. Plus, also check out Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. That's a channel I do with Jeff and often with Jameel Robinson, many others, talking about movies and TV that's not specific to Star Trek. And we are talking about right now Celebrity Big Brother 3. They are just kicking off. That's running the whole month of February. I'm talking about that with Jameel Robinson primarily when Jeff comes. And then we also have, we talked about Survivor. We're going to be talking about the new season of Survivor that's coming up in March. We just talked about Ozark. We talked about Marvel stuff, including we talked about Hawkeye recently. When we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange when that comes out. And we got Moon Knight on the horizon. Lots of great TV movies. We talked about the Beatles documentary. So there's all kinds of great like review podcasts where we just kind of break down how much do we like it, what do we think. If you want to hear people's opinions, we got plenty. So
Moon
that's
Knight on the horizon. Well done, sir. Well done.
Yes. And with that, I think that's all of the plugs. Make sure, unless I've forgotten anybody, but I think that's about it. And so, we got a comment here. Come on, Jody says, smile, Adam. Displeased, Adam. He's like, how did I let that win get away from me?
Jeez. Chris, you brought a level I didn't expect today. I gotta say.
He got deep on a lot of those debates.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was like, because you expect Chris to like, if I win, I win. I don't, I know, whatever. And then he like,
it's like you prepared a little bit.
Like he turned it on.
Plays a Jesus movie.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and on that, we are going to take you away with some funky music. We'll see you next. Maybe sooner than later for the second episode of season 5, Trivial Debates. And again, thanks to Davan. Let's get some funky.
You can't handle the truth.